everyone, I'm your host Pensyfan and welcome to the October 2024 Pensyfan Periodical. This is a monthly news series which covers most of the major art and headlines from around the world, as well as my opinions on them. We have a lot of articles to go over today, so with that in mind, let's get rolling. Starting off with yet another rolling stock related item, the UTA in Salt Lake City has selected Statler to construct 80 new light rail vehicles for service on their red, green, and blue lines, and better yet, these LRVs will be built in the same city where they'll be running in, as the Statler plant is located just a few miles away from the UTA. These LRVs are currently shown to be delivered in two liveries, a white one with red stripes based on the livery of the Siemens SD100 and SD160s they're intended to replace, as well as a mostly blue and white livery based on the existing Siemens S70 LRVs. This also marks the first time that Statler will be utilizing one of their light rail designs, specifically the CityLink, in North American rail history, as Statler's entrance into the American light rail market will now make them a considerable challenger in a market that has otherwise been dominated by Siemens for the past few decades. Although I'm not exactly sure as to what other nearby light rail systems could possibly purchase new Statler CityLinks instead of Siemens S700s as of yet, this is definitely the starting point of a new subchapter in light rail history, as depending on how these railcars perform in Salt Lake City, they could start a new rivalry in the light rail market between two of the largest railcar manufacturers in North America, thus expanding from their existing rivalries in Europe. Speaking of which, here's some interesting news. BMO Rails delivered the heavily modified GE diesels to Tata Steel in the Netherlands. The last surviving Class A Climax has been donated to the Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad. Rail Scooter has released an e-scooter MOW vehicle that rides on rails. Railway News showed Hoboken Terminal when referring to Statler upgrading the SCU signal system in Switzerland. The MTA gave away free boxes of pasta that worked as Omni cards during World Pasta Day, while they also placed stickers of Grimace on the 7 train set to cheer on the Mets during the MLB postseason. Jaywalking has been legalized in New York City. Portland Union Station is currently for sale. BNSF has introduced carload service between Spokane and Salt Lake City via Denver instead of Boise. CM placed an axle count restriction of 32 axles on Via Rail charger train sets due to crossing gate related reasons. Network Rail could be abolished as part of Great British Railways. Switzerland is to pay €50 million to electrify a rail line in Germany. A Queensland mayor hosted a fake station opening to call for rail service for Ripley. Seoul wants to move 94% of their rail lines underground. Norfolk Southern is hosting a vote for one additional heritage unit. And the University of Texas Austin posted a paper with the FRA looking into the costs and benefits of overhead electrification in the US, which also includes some pretty interesting renderings of GEVOs with pantographs. Now here's a follow-up news section for articles covering stories from previous episodes. NJT released their Conrail Heritage Unit for Engine 4208, while CSX released their Clinchfield Heritage Unit. Brightline hosted their sing-along train for a Taylor Swift concert in Miami, while the Fitzy Hertz ADE Club train offered similar party services in the Netherlands. Canada's high-frequency project could be upgraded to high-speed rail. SNCF has released updated designs of the Jersey lightweight railcar. The Lagos Red Line has started service with former ICT-125 train sets. Santa Fe 537 has been repainted by RHMA and Silvis. Construction has started for Amtrak's Mobile, Alabama station platform. SMS Rail Lines has fully completed its restoration of Alco No. 9 for the Woodstown Central, and Mexico passed a reform bill that will reintroduce passenger rail service on several newly built and existing rail lines, thus ending the law that brought about the privatization of Mexico's railways back in the 90s. In other news, Demetrius Critchlow is the new president of the NYC Subway. Carload Express is to acquire the Maryland and Delaware Railroad. Carpatica Ferroviar has taken over CFR Marfa. NS sold Abilio Deutschland. Locomotive builder Shoma has went bankrupt. Arena Ways is to restart service in January. The Mumbai Metro Aqua Line commenced service. Changi Airport MRT was the featured Wikipedia article of October 16th. The LA Dodgers won the World Series against the New York Yankees. Statler is to make a custom brick-shaped MOW engine for Paris Metro, as well as new engines for Golden Pass Express and new subway cars for Lisbon Metro. Australian Downer and Fortescue are to develop their own battery cow unit. Tesla released the Robovan. Muller released their tri-mode engines for SBB. The EAEU tram is to be launched in Kazakhstan. Chiltern Railways placed their refurbished Class 168s into service. Knoxville Locomotive Works delivered their T4 switcher to ADM. The R211S has entered service on the Staten Island Railway, while while the Minsk 124 has entered service in Minsk, Belarus. The DC Metro 6000 series has been retired, and the Great Lakes Central has repainted SC40-2 number 329 into a New York Central inspired livery, this time by using navy blue instead of black or Brunswick green. Also, happy 30th anniversary to RTD's light rail service, happy 60th anniversary to the Shinkansen, and happy 120th anniversary to the NYC subway. After all that, it is now time for this month's Meme of the Month. This month's Meme of the Month is Welcome Back NSF40. And now, the top story of the October 2024 Pensyfan Periodical is 3001 Return to Steam! After decades of New York Central steam engines simply sitting in museums, the Fort Wayne Historical Society has finally announced plans to restore Mohawk L3 class number 3001 for excursion service, where it will run alongside NKP 765. The restoration of this engine is being undertaken as part of the American Locomotive Project, which also includes restoring the Great Steel Fleet, a series of 7 New York Central passenger cars that will be pulled by 3001, as well as neighborhood development along with the renewal and relocation of most of the Historic Society's collection. Rather unusually, this announcement was so big that several other railroad museums posted the same photos of the Mohawk diagrams in order to raise excitement about the event, although some people, including myself, initially mistaken the blueprints for the more famous J3 Hudson class, which resulted in me getting epically roasted in the comments of the announcement video, as well as making an update video for a recently released episode of Unbuilt. This also comes during the same month as a possible news regarding CNO 614 being announced sometime soon, so this is turning out to be a great year for preservation for many enthusiasts. But nevertheless, rail fans everywhere are overjoyed to see that an iconic engine from one of the world's most famous and successful railroads will finally be restored to operation, as this marks the first time that a New York Central steam engine will be restored to operation since their retirement almost 70 years ago. Of course, such an effort isn't possible without donations from several supporters, as each one of their projects as part of American Locomotive Projects has its own substantial cost. So feel free to donate to Fort Wayne Historical Society to help them get one step closer to achieving all of these goals, as the link to donate can be found in the description. Thank you everyone for watching this month's episode of the Pensyfan Periodical. There have been a lot of rail news headlines for the month, and it will be very interesting to see what the future has in store for all of these articles. Thank you again for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.